Former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has called on Australians to back independent candidates at the election, a move likely to anger his former Liberal colleagues. The former Liberal leader will use an address at the Washington Harvard Club today to urge a vote for independence if they wish to be distanced from dominant factions in the major parties. Mr Turnbull is expected to say, since he was ousted as Prime Minister in 2018, moderate voices in the Liberal Party had become more marginalised. And he's previously refused to reveal whether he would in fact vote for Wentworth incumbent Dave Sharma, who is running in his former seat. Joining us live now is the Deputy Prime Minister Barnaby Joyce. Barnaby, good morning to you. We will start there. This speech to be outlined by Malcolm Turnbull today, that he will urge voters to go with independence because, as he says, moderate elements of the Liberal Party have been marginalised. What's your reaction to his intervention today?
Well, Malcolm Turnbull is the ultimate entitled person. When we have out there, Peter, out beyond Maggie Island, we've got the Chinese, don't know what the Solomons are up to, we've got the Chinese trying to set up a military base to put our nation at threat. Down there, at Laverick Barracks, we've got people prepared to put their lives on the line to stop that, to stop the Chinese putting their foot on our throat, basically. And that means everybody makes risks. Everybody understands risks and everybody makes sacrifices. The people of New England are not going to get everything they want. I imagine the people of Grainler are not going to get everything they want. But people make a sacrifice to make our nation strong. Mr Turnbull's approach is that if he doesn't get every present under the tree, he's going to create a form of chaos that makes this nation where we stand weaker. This is one of the things about politics. It's about politicians. It's also about voters. It's about people saying, I have a vision for what I want, but I'm not going to put my nation at risk to achieve that. Everybody everywhere has to make a sacrifice. And when they talk about Josh Frydenberg is an incredibly strong and good politician. But Josh Frydenberg understands that you can't get every present under the tree. I can't get every present under the tree, but Mr Turnbull's form of politics is because he doesn't get every present he wants, he throws Teddy in the dirt and says, well, to hell with that. Because I can buy myself a special car and live in a special house, and God bless you, that's because you got ahead in life, well done. But then saying, I want to buy a special type of politics to go with it, something that works at angles to what we have to do in this nation, which is become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. And that's the thing. It's not about Mr Turnbull just tossing out his former allegiance to the party that made him the Prime Minister of Australia. It's the fact that now it's gone on to, he knows full well, he understands politics, that he's inherently going to inspire a process that makes our nation weaker when we have only one alternative, and that's to become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. And both our side, and to be quite frank, the Labor side, and I listen to Albanese, there's things I disagree with, but there's things I agree with. He's saying that, you're going to have unity of command. You're going to have really put this nation in a strong position, because this is a different world we lived in, and we understand what's happening. We understand what's going on. We don't know what the Solomons are up to, but we understand quite clearly what the communist government in China's up to. And many years ago, my grandfather, he fought at Guadalcanal in the Solomons. He was in artillery. So we understand exactly how important that is. We understand exactly what's happening next. And I'd say to Mr Turnbull, have a little bit more consideration and do something statesmanlike and say, whatever you do, we're all going to have to make a sacrifice. We're not going to get everything we want, but we've got to do it when you vote. Vote for yourself, but vote for your nation as well.
I'll get to the Solomon Islands in just a second, but you did mention Josh Frydenberg there. Monique Ryan called you out a few times yesterday during her debate against the Treasurer, firing a shot at you and the Nats over climate policy. Could you actually be a help for the independents?
Well, once more, if Ms Ryan decides that it's another form of politics where she says I'm a little bit different and special, and I want everything. I want everything for Christmas, and the other kids can have none, and that's for her. As far as climate issues go, every commitment we've made, we've met every one. Unlike other nations, we're an honourable nation. We don't haphazardly make commitments, but when we make them, we honour them. And what we are doing in this nation is building the alternate economy so that people have choice. Because it's one of the fundamental things we believe in outside of politics. We believe in choice, and the choice to be in the hydrogen industry or the choice to be in the coal industry, but to get to pay the same amount of money, because we want those people to have a house as well. We don't want to kick them to the gutter and just say, well, you know, by reason of a decision of somebody somewhere else, this is the ramifications in your life for your house, for your kids at school, for your capacity to have a standard of living in, you know, in Singleton or Muswellbrook or Mara or Gladstone, you know, that you've worked very hard to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, interesting you said that, because Labor was criticised for taking two positions on coal at the last election. It couldn't clearly articulate its position. Is that the situation the coalition faces this time around, though, because you've got a different argument in the country as opposed to the inner city?
No, we haven't. What we are doing in this nation is we have a plan to make our nation as strong as possible, as quickly as possible, to work in the Pilbara so we can export more iron ore, so we can get more cash in, because we're going to need cash. We've got to, outside politics also believes that you've got to earn money if you want to spend money. If you want to support the NDIS, somewhere it's got to be putting something on a boat so we can earn those export dollars, get the terms of trade, make sure that plastic note in your pocket, that polymer note, it's not just a piece of plastic that has value. It only happens because somebody overseas wants to buy something off this nation. Your coal, your gas, your iron ore, your cattle, live sheep, which the Labor Party are now going to close down. Straight away, they come into this election and the policies are, with them and the Greens, are all about closing things down. Closing down live sheep, closing down coal immediately, closing down gas immediately. And this is hundreds of billions of dollars. Where's this money coming from? And then they say, well, we're going to spend money this and spend money on that. And it's the logical answer, mate. Where's your cash coming from? If you want to do that, you've got to actually set up the alternate industry somewhere else where this money can come from right now. You can't sort of start saying, if I stop breathing now, I'll start breathing later on and everything will be fine with my body. No, if you stop breathing now and wait long enough, you'll die. And this is where the difference is on these two approaches.
Okay.
Now, I don't pretend to be able to deliver everything for New England, and I don't know Josh can't deliver everything for Kooyong, but we both believe in one thing, and that's looking after this nation.
OK, back to the Solomon Islands now. Sogavare, the Prime Minister, launched a scathing attack against our government, taking exception to your comments as well about the Solomons being a little Cuba. Has yours and the Prime Minister's red line rhetoric been too inflammatory, which has led to his more aggressive stance?
Well, I'm not here to explain Mr Sogavare's positions. I'm here to explain the quite apparent, and I don't know what Mr Sogavare's position is. He said that he has no intention of setting up a Chinese military base in the Solomons. That's the promise he's made. That's what he said he will do, and we will take him at his word because that's what he said.
Yeah.
Now, but we do know what the Chinese are up to. We can see that from the South China Sea. We can see that by their capacity and their wish to try and infiltrate into islands around us. And they're completely and utterly, it's rinse and repeat of what's been happening in the Solomon Islands, from America to the United Kingdom to Japan. They know that if they dominate the right islands out there, they put a foot on our throat and they put us under immense pressure. They're not trying to set up a military base out there because they're worried about an attack from the Antarctic or they're scared about New Zealand. What they want, we're standing on. You're sitting on it. We're standing on it. It's in your studio. It's below you. That is what the interest is of people who want to do us harm. And that is what our nation has to concentrate on. And that is why I say all the time, for years, we have to become as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. And that is what I'm doing in this election. OK,
Barnaby, we're out of time, but appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us here. That's Barnaby Joyce coming to us live from Townsville there.